common in the water surrounding Minari Island. Usually, tiger sharks feed on small sharks, but sometimes they have attacked tourists swimming and surfing at Minari beaches. This has hurt Minari's tourism industry, which is second only to the fishing industry in annual revenue. In order to help the economy, therefore, the mayor of the island has proposed an ongoing program to kill any tiger shark within a mile of the beaches. So, peculiar problem here in this, the tiger sharks, which prey on the which are common in the waters around this island, which feed on the smaller sharks. Basically, sometimes they attack the tourist. So the mayor comes in the picture and he says, shoot down the tiger sharks within 1 minute. This has hurt the tourism industry. So these are the facts. This is tiger sharks feeding on the smaller sharks. Sometimes they attack the tourists, and the tourism industry has been hit, which is second only to the fishing industry in annual revenue. So, in order to help the economy, very important word. So, in order to help the economy, therefore, the mayor of the island has proposed an ongoing program to kill any tiger shark within a mile. So, this is the conclusion that kill the tiger sharks and the beaches will be safe, and tourism will return. So, which is hit by the tourists being attacked by tiger sharks. Now the question here is, which of the following, if true, most strongly calls into question, means something that raises a question, the likelihood that implementation of the mayor's proposal will have the desired consequence. Calls into question the likelihood of the implementation. That means will weaken this conclusion of the mayor that if I kill the tiger sharks, if I eliminate them from the beaches, the desired effect of bringing the tourists will not happen. Or rather, the desired effect that helping the economy will not happen. Because at the end of the day, it is the fishing industry, which is number one, which is adding to the revenue. Number two is the tourism. So we have to find out something which, if this is implemented, the tiger sharks are killed, will hit this industry rather than uplifting the industry as expected. Keeping that in mind, let's see option D. The small sharks on which the tiger sharks prey feed on fishes that are commercially important to the island's fisheries. Okay. Now, there is an additional fact that has been given. And this seems to weaken the observation that this killing of tiger sharks is going to help the economy. Let's see how. Think about it. What additional has come? It says that the tiger sharks, they feed on the small sharks, which feeds on the fishes. So the moment, think about it, the moment you are eliminating the tiger sharks, or say the tiger shark population is lowered, this small shark population will go up. And if this happens, the number of sharks preying on the fishes will also go up. Hence, the fish catches will be less, which is rather the first fishing industry in annual revenue, which adds up the most in the annual revenue. So, if this is true, this is a fact. The small sharks on which the tiger sharks prey feed on fishes, then that are commercially important to the island's fisheries. So if this is the situation, then definitely this will weaken this conclusion that it will help the economy. Absolutely. Option D. The small sharks on which the tiger sharks prey on feed on fish that are commercially important to the island's fisheries. D is the correct answer. Okay, let's go to the next one and see. Question number 3. As a part of major renovation to Flower Town's main street station, train station, consultants of the train company proposed moving the station's entrance from its current valuable main street location to a lower rent adjoining side street, and then leasing the high rent entrance space to retail businesses. In that way, the train company would easily pay for those and all other proposed renovations without negative impact on the tight budget. Okay. What is the conclusion here? That the train company would easily pay for those and the proposed renovations without negative impact on its tight budget. What is to be done? There's a station here whose entrance is from the main street. See, this is the main street and this is the train station. If we rent out this part and say use this as the entrance, which is of a lower rent, and lease it out. So this will take care of the lease rental will take care of the renovation, and that won't be hitting the exchequer. So what we have to do here, the ask is which of the following, if true, would most strongly support the consultant's proposal that Flower Town's main station consultants to the company propose the moving the station's entrance from the current valuable main street to a low rent adjoining side street, then leasing the high rent entrance space to retail businesses. Which of the following is going to support this? Which of the following, if true, is going to support? If I bring in a fact that's going to support this, or bring in some add-on information, that is our answer. Let's find the support. If we look at option B, a reliable survey of Flatown's commuters showed that virtually none of them would use the train any less frequently if the station entrance were moved. An additional information, a reliable survey was done where all the people who were asked that, okay, if the entrance is moved from here to here, will you stop using the train, or will you look for alternatives? None of them said that yes, we will move to some other mode of transport. So if that is true, then moving the entrance from one point to another will not be a challenge, or rather it is not going to affect the ridership. And if that is true, then this conclusion will be strengthened. So this is a support for the conclusion. This is the support, or rather it strengthens the conclusion. B is the correct answer. Again, let's read it out. A reliable survey of Flatown's commuters showed that virtually none of them would use the train any less frequently if the station's entrance were moved. B. Okay, let's move on to the next one and see. Question number 4. For years, the beautiful Renaissance buildings in Palitito have been damaged by exhaust from many tour buses that come to the city. There have been little parking space, so most buses have idled at the curb during each stop on their tour. Idling produces as much exhaust as driving. The city has now provided parking that accommodates a third of the tour buses, so damage to the patio buildings from the bus's exhaust will diminish significantly. So what is the conclusion here? City has provided parking that will accommodate a third of the tour buses, so damage of the patio buildings from the buses exhaust will diminish significantly. So what is happening here? Say there are some buildings here, which are some Renaissance buildings. There's a bus that comes from here. It stops here. Say it takes 20 minutes for the customers to, uh, for the tourists to go around this building. And the bus is idle for, say, bus has to stop for 5 minutes. And for the rest of the time, for the rest of the 15 minutes, it is idled where it is put on and the engine is kept on. So this is the stoppage time. And this is the time for which the engine is on. The exhaust is same as in idling process. So as it is said, damaged by these buildings are getting damaged by the exhaust. So if I can reduce this idling time, this is the drop time to drop the tourist. The tourists come back after 15 minutes. So this is the time when the engine is idling. So if I can somehow lower this time limit, that they drop and they move to the parking lot, my job will be done. So this is what he's saying, that if there's a parking lot that can accommodate the tour buses, the damage to the patio buildings of the bus exhaust will diminish significantly. Now, the question is, which of the following, if true, strongly supports this argument? Let's look at option C. Tour buses typically spend less than 1/4 of the time they are in patio transporting the passengers from one side to another. If this time, less than 1/4 of the time they are in patio transporting the passengers from one side to another, that means this is the transportation time which they commute from one place to another, or this is the time when they just stop, and the rest 3/4 of the time it is standing idle. If this is true, if this is true, this is a fact. If this is true, this strongly supports this argument, the conclusion of this argument, that once a, a proper uh, parking space is given, this time will vanish. So the minimum exhaust, obviously, if they are given it a parking lot, they will park the car, the vehicle, and this will happen. Option C. Right, folks? Option C. Tour buses typically spend less than 1/4 of the time they are in patio transporting passengers from one side to another. So less than 1/4 of the time is used for transportation. So the main time, one less than 1/4, we have taken the same. If we take the same thing, only this much is used in transportation. The rest of the time, 20, say 15 minutes out of the 20 minutes, is spent on 5 minutes in transportation and 15 minutes when it is idle. So if I reduce this to 0, my job is done. So tour buses typically spend less than 1/4 of the time they are in patio transporting passengers from one side to another. So if that is true, a parking lot will definitely help, because the city now provides a parking that accommodates a third of the tour buses. So the damage to the patio buildings from the buses exhaust will diminish significantly. This conclusion is strengthened. Right? So C is the correct answer. Question number 5. traces of cultivated MR wheat have been found amongst the earliest agricultural remains of many archaeological sites in Europe and Asia. The only place where the wild form of MR wheat have been found growing is relatively narrow strip of Southwest Asia. Since the oldest remains of cultivated MR wheat yet found are from the village sites in the